Okay guys, I'm starting again. This is day 13 of Start Now, and we're talking about starting in the direction of the promises that God has for you, because it's not always going to be easy. And actually, most of the time, God's will is not going to be easy. There's going to be hardships along the way. I want to read the scripture to you from Isaiah 55. It reads, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts." This is God talking to his people. "Neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." And so God is outside of time. He is not on this earth. He can see things we don't see, and so he has a higher view than we have. And we are limited to this earth and to our own understanding. And many times our understanding will get in the way of what God is doing, because he'll ask us to do things we don't understand and that don't make sense in the natural. And so when we go through these conflicts of, well, we get in a fork in the road where one way is God's way and the other way is the way that makes sense to us, and that seems more lucrative, and that seems more beneficial, and that seems like it will have more fruit. And so we're looking at these two roads, and one is our way, and we can kind of gauge what it's going to produce for us, and the other way is God's way, and it's shrouded. We don't understand. We don't see the benefit to it. We don't see what the end result is. But we know God is telling us to go his way. That's when we have to remember this verse from Isaiah, that his ways are higher than our ways, and his thoughts are higher than our thoughts, because he has an eternal view and we do not. And that's when we just have to take that leap of faith and go the way he wants us to do, and trust in the fact that he will establish our steps and he will bring to fruition what he's starting in us. And we just work through everything step by step, because we won't see the whole picture, and we just accomplish one thing and God will lead us to the next. And during this whole process of reaching towards his promises, he's developing us. He puts the promises close to the throne to force us to get up from our selfish state and actually move towards him. And during that time, he matures us and makes us less selfish and more in the desire he has for us. So it's really cool that he plants our promises really, really far away from us to force us to actually move towards him and move towards his plan and move towards the image that he created us to be. And the other scripture I want to tell you is about faith, because I said last time that our whole life here has faith, and that doesn't make sense to the world. They ask you why you're doing this. I don't see how that benefits you. Why are you writing? You're not getting paid for it. And you have to say, I'm doing it by faith. And faith pleases God. Hebrews 11:6 says, "And without faith it is impossible to please God. Because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him." So although you're at that fork in the road and this one looks more beneficial to your understanding, to your eyes, to the ways of the world, and this one you don't quite understand it, it doesn't make sense, you have to take the road that God has for you and trust that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. And then in this step of faith that you take, you're pleasing God, because God is pleased by your faith. And it shows that you believe in him and that you believe him by his word when you take that step of faith. So I just want to encourage you today that yes, sometimes going after God makes no sense. And I would say usually it doesn't make sense. Sometimes maybe, but usually his ways are just so much higher than ours that it doesn't make sense to us. But we need to take that step of faith, go after those promises that he has put in our heart, regardless of what other people say, and he will provide the resources and the knowledge and the abilities as we move step by step further into his will and to his plan. So I hope you guys have a great evening. I will see you tomorrow on Monday for day 14 of Start Now.